Okay, hopefully you can see there. Yeah, it's I think it's lagging. It took a little while to get started, so hopefully we are all good now. So yeah, so welcome. It's Tuesday Chat, of course. I hope you all had a wonderful Easter. We had quite a few friends and family all came camping here on the farm. We do it every year. We used to, before we lived here, we used to all go camping together, and have to drive in all that traffic. But now we just get everyone to come to us instead because we have plenty of room. So it's always good fun, and we can have fires. There's a creek to swim in. There's plenty to do around here for everyone. So yeah, I'm gonna play around here. Oh, good, great, thanks. Hi, Kate, as well, and Karen is on. Awesome. Okay, so I need to make sure I've got notes that I can read as well. So if you joined me last week, I did a chat about an amazing artist called Michael McWilliams, and he just how wonderful his work is, and it just really makes you sort of feel there's a lot of story, a lot of connection about conservation, all different things in his work. So I thought we could continue that chat on and talk about creating art that sort of connects. So it kind of went with that as well. Can you message on Instagram? Let me just check that, Odette. Yes, I can see. I just have to flick screens to be able to see. Yes, I can read comments. I've just commented back. Awesome. I just have to remember to switch screens to be able to see the Instagram as well. I don't know. I need two screens, which I don't have. So maybe I should. Now I know that I could probably set that up on set up my iPad maybe, so I can read comments on both. So all right, I'm going to play around here. Hi, Kate. Hi, Andrea. Who else? Hi, Lee. I like that I can bring comments up on my screen. That's fun. All right, back to my notes. Okay, so we're going to talk about art that connects. Okay, so we want to sort of talk about, like, deep dive into what art, or creating art that truly does connect with our viewers. Okay, so whether you've just been starting out, I suppose, or whether you've been painting for quite a while, it's something you always sort of think about. How do I make art that resonates with my my people, my public, your viewers, your art buyers, essentially. So not just technically good. We all strive to be technically great at our chosen medium and style, but more so we want art that makes people feel something, that leaves an impression, I suppose. And we also want it to feel like us. We want people to sort of see, like, understand where we're coming from when we're creating our art, I suppose. And we all know that is what helps to sell a painting, is the story. And if someone has an emotional attachment to that work, they're definitely going to buy it usually. So what's Karen got here? Last week's chat motivated continuing your story. You started over a year ago. That's amazing. I'm glad. Well, this hopefully will inspire you a bit more as well, Karen. Yeah, because I think we do. I agree with that. We start down a path of trying to create a story and create a series of work, or something that's coming from our heart, but we get sidetracked, don't we? I feel as artists, I know I get sidetracked a lot. That's why I have like a brain dump paper that I write things down, because I come up with these ideas, and I have all these things I want to do in my art, like experimenting with different styles, but also maybe a series of paintings that have come to me that I want to do. And then I think I'll do that next, but then it's like a month before I maybe have time to concentrate, and I've forgotten what I was thinking about unless I've written it down. So that's good. I'm glad that has inspired you to get back into that one that you started maybe a year ago. I'm just looking on Instagram, Judy as well. I know Dad are over there. All right. So I suppose, why does connection matter? So what does connecting really mean when it comes to your artwork? So it's not really about likes or sales, although of course that is nice, but it's about making someone pause, I suppose, and feel something. When you're looking around a gallery and you're just like, nah, keep moving. But then when you see a painting that, you're like, wow, and you'll stop and look at it then. So it'll either, sometimes it might spark a memory for some people, or just a sense of wonder of like, wow. I had that with one of the Glover Prize paintings, not this year but last. It was this huge landscape of I feel like the painter had been, it was down a creek, like sort of in a really dense forest, like in Tasmania. Well, it was in Tasmania. But I feel like they were sitting, it must have been in a boat taking the photo. You were immersed. It felt like you could walk straight into it. And that was a real wow moment. Like, it was amazing. It was huge, but just absolutely beautiful. Or even just, a little quiet moment of joy, seeing something, a painting that maybe sparks something in you, makes you smile, makes you happy. So, creating something that expresses a piece of your own story as well, or your own perspective. This is where our stories of conservation and that, which with Michael McWilliams that we were talking about last week, some of his messages in his work and his views and perspectives of how he feels about conservation, some of them were quite subtle, others were pretty much in your face. And it was, I suppose that was up to him, how he wanted to come across, how strongly he felt about it, whether he really wanted you to take note of that conservation piece in the art, or whether it was just a little bit of a hint at it. Hi Marianne as well. There you go. Good morning. I gotta stop playing with this. It's funny. All right, so maybe think back to a time when a piece of art kind of made you stop and think. Think about what made you pause at that artwork. Why did it sort of stay with you? I feel like a lot of us have probably come across art in that way, especially if you've been to galleries. Seeing art online isn't really the same. I mean, we can appreciate art online and go, wow, it's absolutely beautiful. But especially when we're talking larger pieces as well, when you're walking around a gallery and just see something that does make you stop, maybe question why. Ask yourself why that painting has stayed with you, why you loved it, what made you stop at that one for longer than maybe another one, and just keep that in the back of your head to then bring into your own work. Maybe there's certain things about it. It might have been the color, it might have been the meaning, it might have just been the style. But think about it, because if you're stopping and loving it, then obviously it resonates with you, and that's what you want to start bringing out in your own work. So the best art isn't always about how realistic or technically perfect it is. it's more about how authentic it is, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, I'm into realism. I'm not an abstract person in any way. So I would never stop. I'm sure there are people that love abstracts and get a feeling as well. Maybe it is the colors, things like that. Maybe things do resonate with them, but I've never ever seen an abstract that has made me go, wow, like I love this or anything. So for me, it's more the realistic style, but it doesn't have to be technically perfect in realism by any means. Though usually I'm drawn to them, and but not all the time. I still see paintings that I absolutely love that could have more story, maybe more of the. It might not be like technically perfect, but you can really tell the story the artist is trying to get across. So they're great as well. But everyone's different. Like I said, some of you guys might love the abstract and get that feeling as well. So it's whatever, question yourself, really start to, rather than just go to a gallery and look at the paintings, actually stop and think about what it is, and maybe make notes even, nothing wrong with that either, of course. So, and it's also connection it's not about impressing others, it's about being honest and vulnerable, I suppose, with your storytelling, and that's what will probably connect. So especially if it connects with you, then it's probably more likely to connect with others as well. And you're not going to connect with everyone, of course. We all have different ideas and perspectives. So and just remember, art moves us emotionally. That's the idea of art, is what we're trying to get to eventually. Like I say to my students, I'm teaching them in the Creative Barn membership how to paint in realism. We don't do hyper-realism, but I'm teaching them the techniques to paint realistically, learning all the elements of art, how to, create a realistic looking fur, eyes, all that with animals, as well as sort of nature. And once they've learned that, the technical skills to be able to be confident in painting in pastels or drawing in charcoal and graphite, that's when you can really start to explore and start to think about story. So even though this relates to beginners as well, I feel like to get good at art, of course, you need to be able to master the techniques of your chosen medium, and then you can push the boundaries more and start coming up with your own ideas and all that sort of stuff. So when you're first starting out, you're not probably really looking at the emotional side of your art. You're more trying to get it right, get the painting right, especially when we're talking about realism here, obviously. But yeah, once you've sort of got the understanding there, then you can start to think about the emotion that comes out. And that's where I encourage my students to start taking their own photos. Like, you can still draw realistically and have emotion in your painting. You just need to start working from your own images and your own ideas and creating compositions that resonate with you, I suppose. So a question to everyone is, have you ever looked at a piece of art that's given you goosebumps or maybe reminded you of something deeply personal? I mentioned the other week at a gallery exhibition here, I was talking to one of the customers that came in, and she ended up buying a piece, and it was I wouldn't say it was abstract. It's semi abstract realism, that sort of thing, and it was of a dresser, and it didn't connect with me at all. I loved the colors. I thought it was a beautiful piece, but there was no connection. But for her, she bought it because it reminded her of the dresser she had in her room as a child growing up, so that's the sort of thing. And the artist, that's why she painted it, because it was a dresser of her childhood, and that's what she was trying to get across with it. And this lady happened to have a similar dresser, and that connected. So what's Andrea got here? A painting called Evicted by Blanford Fletcher in the Queensland Art Gallery had me in awe by the size of it. I'd gone there purposely to see it because the buildings in the paintings are actual buildings that your dad lived in as a child. Wow, see, that's amazing. So there is a connection straight away for you and your dad, obviously. And yeah, I feel I've seen some small works, of course, that I love and connect with, but the one that I gave me goosebumps was huge as well. I felt like I could step into it. But then we were at can't remember what painting it is. Odette will probably be able to help me here. We were down at the Melbourne Gallery, and it was one of the old Australian masters. I think, was it oh my God, it was a lady with it was like they were old settlers. I can't even remember. I'm trying to think of it. But there was a seat set up in front of it, and it was quite large. And it's a very famous painting. And because you could just sit and stare at it for like a good hour or so, I could have just sat there and kept staring at it. It was just beautiful. And that, again, is something that, it was bringing an emotion in me. And I think I was just more, imagining what life would be like back then, as well as I was really, blown away by the technical skill of the artist, of course. So both, really. Just checking comments over in Instagram. What's Leslie got? You're not a fan of abstract art at all. I do try to understand, but more often than not, it runs cold with me. Yeah, Leslie, I'm a little bit the same. I can appreciate some color choices, things like that. I think they're quite nice. But yeah, I don't get any emotional connection with abstract stuff. I like semi-abstract that I can kind of tell what it is. But yeah. So what I love are ones that they're realistic, but you can see it's coming straight from the artist's mind, how they've pieced it together. Or it's just, this landscapes can just be like an absolutely stunning landscape. But yeah, so like I said, everyone's different. So, all right. So I suppose, how do we create art that feels like us, I suppose? So we don't want to get caught up in the details, which I think we can. So is this realistic enough? Are your values right? All of that. Because technical skill alone doesn't make a work memorable. I suppose it can in some ways, but to bring that emotion and that, you don't want to get too caught up on all of that. Okay, so what I'm saying is I don't want you to get stuck spending, years and years and years of your life trying to get technically perfect realism, I suppose. I want you to learn and get better at realism, but also start to think about the emotion that's going to come in. So think of like your favorite artists. So odds are they're not just skill, it's their voice and their point of view, the stories they tell. So again, Michael McWilliams, if you look at his work, it is absolutely beautiful, but it's not technically perfect than the animals. They're very good and very realistic, but not, perfect realism. They're even, they're a bit whimsical, I suppose. I wouldn't call them cartoony in any way, but they're, you can sort of tell straight away that they're his animals, even when you look at all the different paintings. He just has a style about the way he does the animals. They're certainly not like hyper realistic or anything like that. And but they come across as what he's intending. He's trying to get that story out there, and they're enough for that. Oh, I think that could be it, actually, Andrea. The Pioneers by Frederick McCubbin. It could be. It's like I said, it's a very famous painting, and it was absolutely amazing. What else has Leslie got? Many a time they got her frescoes in the cathedral in Assisi. They reduce you to tears with their serenity and beauty. Yeah, if you've been overseas in some of these places in Europe, it's like, wow. I felt like that when I saw the statue of David in Florence. It was just like, wow. You just get blown away when you visit Europe and see some of the art over there, for sure. I was shocked. I never realized the statue of David was so huge, and just to sit and appreciate the time age of it, how long ago it was made, and just the perfection of it. There's a lot over there, of course. So and that's a huge connection when it reduces you to tears, definitely. So, but even just goosebumps and that. So, all right. So let's sort of talk about how to bring that connection into your own work. So, like we often start by copying what we see, of course, which is great for learning. But the real magic comes when you bring yourself into it. So start asking yourself what subjects or themes really light you up. Okay, maybe you need to get a bit of pen to paper and start thinking about just asking yourself these questions. Or like I said, when you do see something that really moves you, another piece of art, maybe write down why. Think about why it's moving you, what part of it. Is it the colors, or is it just the whole thing in general? Is it the story it's coming across with? And just generally what lights you up. For me, it's wildlife. I love painting animals. I love the beach as well. So I'd like to get better at painting the beach, waves, things like that. I also really love the small bits of nature, I suppose, like looking at it through a small lens. I really love the way shadows play on fence posts and the tiny details, of wood or mushrooms and lichen, all that sort of stuff. I really do enjoy doing that. And I think I'm learning myself, the more I'm doing art and painting, is that I really do like doing detailed work more with pencils. But then there's another side of me that really loves getting messy with sticks. So I suppose it's just you're changing and learning all the time as you go. But to me, I've been asked many times to paint portraits of people, and it doesn't light me up in any way. I've done a few, and I can paint portraits, like human portraits, and the likeness is there, and I'm fine with it, but it just doesn't inspire me. So that's why I don't do it. And the same with like, as much as I love painting animals, I was doing pet portrait commissions, and I still do a couple a year if I'm asked, but they don't really light me up either, because I prefer to paint the animals that I want to paint, and I start to want to create my own compositions and all that. So not so much. It's good for the money side, of course, doing commissions, but it just, yeah, it's not my thing either. So, but I mean, we can't, if we want to make money with art, we have to maybe compromise and do a bit of everything. So, but anyway, we're talking about painting that connects. So, all right, so think about what themes and subjects light you up, and also what stories maybe from your own life could show up in your artwork as well. You could maybe think back and go down memory lane and think about things you loved as a kid even, what parts, maybe you used to go camping a lot. Were there areas that just really resonated with you? Different places, maybe grandma or granddad had a farm or something you used to love going to. I don't know, just really sort of start to look back into yourself and think about, what it is that you would be inspired. Because that's the other thing, you want to be inspired to paint. Otherwise, we lose all motivation if it's not something that we're excited about. But if we're excited about it, you'll find you'll create that painting, but then as you're painting it, you'll think of other ones to go. So there'll be, like, you could probably turn that into a whole series, because as you're painting that one, you'll start to go, now I could maybe paint this section, or this would tie in with that. And now I remember I love this as well. So, that's what happens when you're inspired with something that you are painting, rather than painting something just because you think it will sell. Okay, so, and that's our biggest thing as artists. We don't want to get bored with what we're doing. I feel like creative people, I'm not going to say we have ADHD or anything, but we have, our mind goes all over the place. I feel like we have a lot of ideas and a lot of things we want to do. So you'll find I know 100%, if you're painting something that really lights you up, your mind will be thinking of all these other things as well. So, and you don't need a huge life event to make meaningful art. So like I said, even just a childhood memory, or a place you love, or an animal you love. You might be connected to your dog, or a certain breed, or maybe certain birds. There's a lot of artists that are very inspired and have made their whole career painting birds, and even getting more specific on just maybe parrots. There's, you look at some of these old masters, they quite often had a muse, didn't they? Especially ones that did portraiture and that, and they could just paint years and years of paintings just based on one person. So it could go the same with people, with animals, I mean. So, you might have a love for sheep, a bit like me, and you could do a million paintings on sheep. Hold on, I'm just reading this. You feel like you're being ignored over there on Instagram. There it is. Sorry, I've just checked. I think Instagram, my feed on there is a bit lagging. So, The Pioneer by Frederick McCubbin is a triptych. Thank you, Odette. That is exactly, that is the painting I was thinking about earlier, that I was with you in the Melbourne gallery. And, remember it had a seat in front of it, and yeah. And it is a triptych, and you could just sit and stare at that that was one of those paintings that I was just like, wow, amazing. So thank you for Andrea and Odette for for an artist, I'm pretty hopeless at names and things. Odette's pretty good at it. So all right, where was I? Sorry, I've totally forgotten where I am. I'm trying to read my notes. Okay, so yes, how do we start? Where we're yep. Okay, so so that's what I was just saying. I get sidetracked by the comments. I should need to stop looking at them. So yeah, so like I said, you don't need a huge life event. So even just go back and think about things that do light you up. Okay, so and then of course the storytelling, that's the thing, isn't it? I keep going on about this, is storytelling in your art is what makes it so powerful. And it doesn't have to be literal, like it doesn't have to have like, you know, Joe went down the shop to buy a drink sort of thing, and a person walking down the shop buying a drink. It doesn't have to be like that. It can just be the mood or the feeling or a symbol, you know, that comes with the storytelling. And usually, you know, when I was looking at Michael McWilliams' work, I could get a sense of what he was trying to convey, but just the title of a lot of his work sort of solidifies what you're thinking. And then, you know, if we've got work, if you're putting work up in a gallery or an art space, try and do an artist statement that tells a story about the piece as well. But you can, of course, use composition, color, lighting, and expression in your piece without the words, of course. You know, I had in the dingo, one dingo I did with the looking directly at the camera, and I was telling the story in the reflection of the eye. But if I didn't have my artist statement talking about this was to do with friend or foe, you know, the Fraser Island dingoes, with tourism and all of that sort of stuff. But if I didn't have that, because in the eye, reflection was a four-wheel drive, because for those that don't know, Fraser Island, or Gari as they now call it, absolutely beautiful sand island here, but there's a lot of four-wheel drives, like tourists on the beaches and that, and there's always conflict between the dingoes and the humans and the tourists. So, but if I didn't have the artist statement that went along with the painting, talking about the reflection of the four-wheel drive and the battle between humans and dingoes, then most people might not have even noticed there was a reflection of a four-wheel drive in the eye, and that's what the story was. So that kind of needed the artist statement with it to sort of, so it was quite a subtle story, but it was quite a strong story when you understood where I was coming from. You know, so there's all different things that you can think about and yeah, to bring across. So like I said, some can be subtle, some can be really in your face. And just think about what you want people to feel when they're looking at your piece as well. So, you know, hold on, just all these comments, honestly. Liz, I wonder why I want to do that one of my husband in the shower. Oh my God. All right, Liz, you're distracting me now. Okay, so some practical ways, I suppose, to make your art more personal is, of course, paint what you care about. So choose subjects that light you up, whether it is wildlife or nature or your pets. It could even be the view from your window, maybe, or conservation issues, of course. I feel like conservation issues, especially for us wildlife artists, really is quite a strong thing for us. And that is but not in conservation as a whole. Pick something in particular. You know, there could be, I know a friend of ours, Tamsin, she's in Tasmania, and she's very passionate about the salmon farming down there. So it's quite a particular conservation topic, but it's something she could expand on. And she would be very, very inspired and motivated to paint about that, because it's very sort of important to her. You know, and when you care about it, it really does show in your work. So sort of tell a story, even a quiet one. So what's happening in the scene that you're creating? What feeling do you want people to leave with? So you don't have to paint a big dramatic moment. Even a gentle scene can be full of emotion. So also think about who your art is for. Is it a gift or is it a tribute or a memory? Sometimes knowing who you're creating for can help you stay focused on the emotion behind the piece. And that is also definitely rings true if you're creating it for maybe an exhibition that has a theme or a competition that has a theme. I've just entered one, and so did Liz, actually, who is on here. The thing, I can't even remember the name of the theme now, but it's for a Harvey Bay competition here called Gira, and there was a theme to it. So it makes you have to really think about it and think and sort of think how that theme connects with you, because when you're entering a competition that has a theme like that, they're looking for the story, of course, and your interpretation of the theme. So that's definitely having to think about who you're creating it for. Okay, so and then of course use composition, light, and mood intentionally. You don't need every technical tool mastered to create connection, but think about where you want the viewer to look, of course, what emotion and colours or lighting might evoke. And a great one was one of my students, Janine. She just shared a painting she's working on, and it's of a lion, and it's the lions that were rescued in Ukraine from a zoo, I think it was, that because pretty much everyone in the world knows that Ukraine is at war with Russia and have been bombed a lot, and these lions were rescued. There was a whole story behind it, but they've been rescued, and so she's doing this painting of the lion, and it's just the head, and she has this beautiful shadowing across sort of the muzzle. So this part, the eyes and up the here of the mane are quite lit up. They're sort of in the sun, and then through here's in shadow. And what she's doing is working with the colours, and it's just absolutely. I don't want to give too much away, actually, but her colour idea, there's so much thought that has gone into it to be able to get the colour she wants in the shadow and the light. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And it's very subtle, and without some people would pick up with the meaning behind it, but with this artist statement there sort of talking about this, then the meaning's huge. So but yeah, it's quite amazing what you can come up with when you actually put your mind to it and start thinking about it. And then, of course, embrace your style, even if it is evolving, which is like I was saying before. I'm finding I like two different styles. Like I really love those tiny details, but then I also like working a bit looser. But because I now know how to paint in realism, and I know my values and the rest of those techniques, I can loosen up and still make it looks real, but it's a looser style. But it's because I now know how to, values are such a huge thing. So I know how to paint that and loosen up. So it's weird to learn. You've got to learn how to do realism to then make it not be as realistic, I suppose. It's a bit strange. But definitely don't chase what's trendy or what you think people want to see. Your unique view is what people want to connect with. Okay, so definitely don't get caught up making paintings to sell. You can do that, of course, if you need to make money with your art. You can follow some trends, but definitely keep a side of your art just for you and creating stuff that really lights you up. Okay, most artists that run a business and earn money have quite a few different income streams and quite a few different areas of their business, because you really need your creative time that has nothing to do with making money. So I'm a bit the same. I do all of my tutorials and business side, but then and a lot of those are smaller paintings. They're still what I love, because I pick pick images and that, or they're from my own photos, or the copyright-free images that I want to paint, but I do work a lot smaller in those because I'm recording the lessons. But my own work, I prefer to work larger. So I have that sort of set to the side, and that's also where I'm experimenting as well, more in my own stuff. So again, think about artists like Michael McWilliams. So his art is quirky. He's not painting to please anyone but himself. Okay, sometimes it's quite detailed, sometimes it's humorous. It always has a story. Also think about when you've received a heartfelt compliment on something you've made, when someone has resonated with them, not because it was perfect, but because it reminded someone maybe of their childhood pet or made them smile. Those moments are gold, and that's connection. And I know Liz on here, she did a painting of her daughter, and she had ice cream all over her face, and it was quite a close cropped image, really, of just this part of the face, and she had ice cream in that. She put it into an art exhibition or competition, wasn't planning on selling it, and someone bought it, and it was because it reminded her of her grandkids or whatever that were eating ice cream or something. So as much as they say people don't buy portraits of other people, this lady did, because it was probably such a close cropped image, but it was the feeling of the ice cream. It was typical children eating ice cream when they've got it all over their face, and it just instantly reminded her of her own kids. So but Liz painted that for herself because it resonated with her, of course. And if you do that, then if you love it, and I find myself, if I do a painting that I really, really love, and I usually want it, I pay to get it professionally framed. I want it in my house, and they're always the ones that sell as well. So if you love it and it connects with you, it's probably going to connect with someone else as well. So I suppose this is where the block can come in, that you're trying to make art that connects with everyone, that you've got to sort of try and forget all about that. When you're trying to please everyone, then you're not, you're diluting your voice, I suppose, because if you're trying to please too many people. It's the same in business. Like they say, you've got to niche down. So just niche down and focus on what you love, and your people will come, I suppose. Just focus on what you want to say, okay, and who you want to reach. Who you were 10 years ago, who you were when you were a child. Just think back on you, like your why, I suppose. And you don't need permission. You're allowed to create art that means something to you, even if no one else gets it as well, I suppose. You don't have to make important art all the time. We just have to make honest art. So take risks, paint something weird, something whimsical, something that's all about you. Just create something because it feels good as well. You will connect with your people, definitely. So maybe try these things. You could journal about your next painting before you start it. Maybe start brainstorming some ideas. Even write a title, and then paint your picture to match the feeling of the title, or try to capture a moment in your life that stirred something in you. And also create a why you're painting that particular piece. I think we forget to ask ourselves why a lot of the times. So definitely something to think about before you start your next painting. Actually to think about why you're creating it and what the story is you want to convey. You know, I know myself, I really want to start creating. I'm doing a whole exhibition on Fraser Island, Gari, and dingoes and the wreck and everything to do with Fraser, because I love it there. I grew up, I used to camp there all the time, all in that area. It's my happy place. I love it. I love the beach. So, and I really do feel for the dingoes over there. But I also, now we've moved to this farm, I really love it as well. And I love my sheep. And I think I should start, you know, concentrating a bit more as well on, maybe that'll be my next series, is farm life. You know, the quirkiness of the chickens and the different personalities of the sheep, and just the old fence posts, and, you know, all that sort of stuff. There's a million things once you start looking. So yeah, maybe just go to your favorite place, even if it's just a botanic gardens or the beach, or if you love shells, you know, make different compositions of shells and things like that. There's an artist here. My mind has gone blank again. Liz might be able to help me. She's got an exhibition, and she paints a lot of shells on the beach. She's got a series of paintings called yacht thingies, and they're just close-up bits of yachts. You know, so they're just things that she's seen, that she's like the close-up bit of the way the rope is, the way the chrome bit that the rope ties around. I don't know yachts, but, you know, really focus on the details and the tiny things. But she's selling so many paintings because there's a lot of people that love yachts and boaties out there that all resonates with them. Carol Elliott, is it Carol Elliott? I think it's Carol Elliott. She's a Yeppoon artist, absolutely amazing pastel artist. But that's what she paints all the time. She paints shells all the time because she loves it, and she lives it on the beach. And that's what resonates with her. And obviously, I don't know if she does yachting. Maybe she does. But for her, I think a lot of her work capturing like challenging herself to create a chrome look. If you look up her work, and her rendition of chrome is just out of this world. And that's probably a challenge in herself, to do that. She obviously likes tiny details as well. So yeah, Carol Elliott. Thanks, Liz. Carol Elliott, yep. But yeah, have a look at some of her work if you get a chance. And yeah, she paints that all the time, and she's an amazing artist. And her work resonates and sells as well, because yeah, it's good. And you can tell she loves that. So good morning, Donna. All right, I'm wrapping up, guys. I'm getting there. So yeah, so definitely art that connects doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be honest, and you know, your thoughts, your why. Trust that if it moves you, it will move someone else. And yeah, just sort of think about, before your next painting or series. Series are always great to work in, but if you're not up to that yet, maybe just a single painting. But really start to think about what connects with you, what lights you up, of course. And don't compare with others, because I know it's very hard, because we have social media, we're following a million artists, all the rest. Just think about what you love, what resonates with you, and what lights you up, and what inspires you. Because honestly, if you're painting what inspires you, then you will love painting, and you'll just keep going and going, and you'll grow, of course. Okay, so yeah, get personal with it, you know, and don't follow what others want. what others want. Don't just get stuck on selling on the money side of it, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. All right. Okay, guys. I hope this has made you think about it. I hope you're going to go and actually think about your next painting and think about a story behind it. And, yeah, just write down some places and things that that you want to paint. Okay. And, yeah, thanks for joining me, as always. Let me just go back over to Instagram and check I didn't miss anything over there. Nope. All right. I do have this on YouTube as well, but can't see comments over there. All right. Thank you, everyone. I've been prattling on for nearly an hour, as usual. But, yeah, thanks again for joining me. I have no idea what I'm talking about next week, but I will be here same time, same channel. And, yeah, maybe you can let me know what it is that you're going to be painting, or what it is that lights you up. Just pop them in the comments, or you can tell me through however you want to get hold of me, through Messenger or email or whatever you want. I'd be interested to know what you're thinking and whether I can offer any ideas or help along the way. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week. Bye.